is Flipper, and welcome to my garage. I do apologize about the long delay between videos. I had a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, both in my personal life as well as with the race car and the race team. We've been working on some sponsorship stuff, really excited to get into that. We'll talk about that later, as well as figured out the direction we're gonna go with Crackers and Kermit. My personal life, I went down to Florida recently, and I got engaged. I know, I can't believe it myself. I'm ecstatic. Don't worry. This doesn't mean I gotta sell the race car or that's gonna go away. Actually, the girl I got engaged to, Amanda, she is incredibly supportive of the race team and the racing. And quite honestly, I couldn't be doing this without her. So the race car is here to stay. Flipper's Garage isn't going away. Now, if you did tune in on the last episode, we started to prep the car for pulling the engine and transmission out of it. We got all the panels off and kind of stopped there. Some of you are probably wondering, well, why didn't you just get the engine and trans out in one video? And, well, to be honest, there's a couple of very mediocre reasons for that. One of them being I'm kind of trying to keep these videos around the 20 to 30 minute mark. Kind of something you can watch on your lunchtime in case you want to lose your appetite. The other reason is I went and I pulled my engine hoist out and got it together, and let's just say it's leaning more than that tower over there in Pisa. Now, it could be because of the cheap metal that these things are made out of nowadays, or it could be because I was grossly mistreating it when I was trying to unload a dwarf car out of an enclosed trailer. No, definitely the cheap metal. Well, here, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So this is the old engine hoist I bought years ago off of FaceTube Marketplace. Actually, back then, it was probably Craigslist. Wonder what ever happened to Craig. Anyway, now normally, you look down the front of this little beam right here should be straight in line. And as you can see, it's not. It's way over that way. Let me walk around to the back here. I'll show you. She is just, yeah. She's definitely kicked that way. And it's actually a lot worse in person. So, I did the responsible thing and went down to Harbor Freight and got the cheapest one of these I could find. We're going to put that together. I also did the, what's that, Amazon. You guys ever heard of that? Well, I ordered an engine stand off of there, so we got to put that together. And then we got to unclutter, that's a nice term for it, unclutter some of this, do some unbolty stuff, and get rid of that, and we just won't look at that. Yeah, I didn't do that. I just want to make that clear. That was not me. And we can yank this sucker out of here. We're going to pull the trans out as well. This thing's got a Falcon transmission. These things are neat. The way they work is totally opposite of a normal manual transmission. You start the car in gear, and then to go, you have to push the clutch pedal in and hold it, and it'll take off. And then once you get it wound up, you let the clutch off and you jam it into drive. And it is direct drive all the way to the rear end. What happens is when you're driving through the pits, and let's say something happens and you need to stop in a hurry, muscle memory kicks in, and you jam hard on the clutch and the brake at the same time and almost kill the tech guy. Anyway, So that's the plan. We're going to try to disconnect some of the exhaust right here, get this thing out of here, and then we got to pull the rear end out and a few other odds and ends. And we'll talk about what's next for 2024. What are we going to do with crackers? Oh yeah, it does that too. Time to go. So as we dive into this, one of the things we got to do is get this exhaust separated. And to do that, we got to separate it down in here. Now, as I was doing that, kind of something interesting, show you folks. All right, focus. Thank you. Grinding away at the welds here, little spot welds that just held everything together. And right there's where my little Dremel got away from me, but that's nothing. As I got into it, you can see just how far the exhaust jumped as soon as I cut through the weld. It's because the engine is actually shifted that far that way. And it was putting that much stress on the exhaust system that once I popped those welds, it popped. Okay, so the lower half of the exhaust that's out. And I've got that engine mount there. I got another one heading right down in there. That's got to come out. Got to unbolt my fuel line here. And then as far as the transmission, well, there's no mounts there, so I don't have to do anything that. That's part of the linkage hanging down. To give you an idea too of how far this engine moved, look at that drive shaft, how far that's sticking out of there. And I raced it like that. Woo! And then I was too cheap to actually buy a plate to cover up the intake right here, so I made this one. And now to pull the engine, I went and bought a plate to put on there, so that didn't save me any money. I've already got the power steering disconnected on this side. Tell you what, you go on Amazon and you can buy a package of these little gopher condoms, and they're really handy for plugging up your ports like this and down there, keeping dirt and crap from getting in there, as well as dumping stuff all over your garage floor, because God knows I'm going to do that. And I got that engine mount that's bent up there, and you can't even see it, but right down in there is another engine mount. Take off my oil pressure line, and I think we'll be ready to hook this onto the world's sketchiest engine hoist and pull it out of there. So as we're pulling this plate off here and putting the lift plate on, figured I'd take a moment to tell you folks about, well, when can you see me race? Do all this talk about the race car, but I haven't said anything about when and where. So get your Crayolas ready. This is our 2024 tentative race schedule with the super late model, and well, there may be a few surprises thrown in there as well throughout the season. I've got a few things brewing. Our first race is going to be April 6th at the Kalamazoo Speedway. I'm not going to lie, this is going to be a tough one to get to. It's going to be the Intimidator 100, big 100-lap outlaw super late model race. We're going to try. We're going to try. I really want to make it. You know, it's kind of cool. I've been in the grandstands. I've watched this race every year since they first started it. Named after the late Dale Earnhardt Sr., the Intimidator 100. To be able to participate in it, man, that's going to be awesome. But a lot of it's going to depend on, financials and the car, if I can get it ready in time. As you can tell, we got a lot of work to do. Second race of the year, also at Kalamazoo Speedway, is going to be June 7th. These are Friday night races. And then our first Saturday night race of the year
not at Kalamazoo Speedway. July 6th, we're going to be at the Berlin Raceway. Berlin's a racetrack that I used to run with the Short Track Trucks Challenge Series. Haven't been on that track in years, so I'm really excited. Looking forward to getting back out there. And then after that, it's the big one. This is, well, there's no two ways about it. This is going to be the biggest race of my career. And it's the Kalamazoo Clash, the premier outlaw late model race in the country. And that's going to be July 13th at the Kalamazoo Speedway. And then to close out the season, September 21st, we're going to be racing first time in quite a long time at what used to be my home track, the Owasso Speedway. And that's September 21st for the Owasso Nationals. Kind of a short schedule for us this season, but, you know, a couple different reasons for that. One of them being budget. The other one being I'm still learning these things. And it's going to take me time between races to try to sort everything out and figure it out. And I didn't want to stretch myself too thin. The other reason is this leaves a couple openings for some other fun events, if you will. And like I said, we got a few things brewing. So plates on, we got to pop engine mounts, and we'll get this thing going.
Well, the hits just keep coming with this car. So this is the tail of the drive or the transmission here, your drive shaft that goes back to your rear end. And as I was unbolting the drive shaft from the rear end, well, that's not supposed to be like that. Yeah. But the guy said he had issues with the leak out of the back seal of the transmission. That explains why. Probably wondering about the zip tie here. Well, the reason for that is when I pull the yoke out of the back of the transmission here, I can put a baggie over it quick, zip tie it, and that'll keep all the transmission fluid from spilling out on the ground when I pull all of this out of here. This is going to be this sucks. All right, so the drive shaft's up, and upon further review, well, you can see there's a couple of really gnarly grooves wore in that. The other thing I noticed is it's right there. It's got a hang up in the U-joint, so good this way, but this way it's definitely got a bind to it. So definitely needs a new yoke, U-joints top and bottom, and then probably going to need a bearing and a seal on that transmission. I did a little research, and by research, I talked to my buddy who works on these things, Scott, over at Riverside Gear, and apparently you have to run a hardened drive shaft yoke on these transmissions, or else that's what you get. So, a little more work to do now, but we'll keep plugging along. You heard me earlier mention that I had some pretty big announcements regarding sponsorship for the 2024 season. Now, I know this is normally the point where your eyes start to glass over and kind of nod off, but bear with me, pay attention, because being a small budget team, sponsors are absolutely critical. Now, I may not have the big high dollar sponsors that a lot of the teams that I'm going to be going up against have, but the people that I do have on board that support the team are second to none. And I can't thank them enough. Without them, I couldn't do this stuff. A couple of returning sponsors, one of them being this guy right here, Union City Speed Shop out of Union City, Michigan. Gentleman by the name of John Culp. Big supporter. Old friend of mine. I used to race against him even. He's helped me out more ways than I could ever thank him. And this year, he's helped out the race team in a very big way. Unfortunately, I can't quite disclose that information at this time. That's going to be in a future episode. So make sure you stay tuned on that one, because we got some big plans for 2024, including Union City. And like I said, he's helped me out more ways than I could ever thank him. So even if there's a year where he can't help out, as far as I'm concerned, he's on the race car every year. Doesn't matter. Another returning sponsor. This is a service-disabled, veteran-owned company out of Hastings, Michigan called ERS. It stands for Endoscopy Repair Specialists. Basically, what they do is they fix human roto-rooters. One of the co-owners of the company, Bob Heil, you've heard that name before? Friend of mine, he's actually why I got into late model racing. He let me drive his late model, checking it off a bucket list item of mine. And I have been hooked and broke ever since. So thanks, Bob. New sponsors this year. Going with the veteran thing. I'm extremely excited about this. Coming on board as a 501(c), I hope I got that right, company called Veteran Helping Veteran. And I'm not going to go into it too far yet. I want to give them the airtime they deserve, and we'll do that at a later episode. But the basic premise that we've come up with is we are going to try to change the stigma of men's mental health one lap at a time. Very excited about that. Some really big plans. We're going to bring some veterans in and have them work with the team. Again, extremely excited about this one. We'll get into that more at a later episode. Another new sponsor this year is Adam and Jill Small have a t-shirt company. Now, if you're a fan of the Sandlot like me, you're going to love the name of this company, all right? You're Sewing Me Smalls. They are the official t-shirt and apparel supplier of not only the race team, but Flipper's Garage as well. They've created the t-shirts that we got here. I mean, check this out. How cool is that? We got mugs. He's working on putting together an online store
that's going to be full of all sorts of Flipper's Garage swag. I don't even know what swag is, but it's going to be there. We'll announce that once it gets up and running. Again, very excited about that. We're going to have t-shirts to give out throughout the year. Also plan on getting hold of Hot Wheels cars to give out to kids during the season. So very, very excited about that. Again, I can't thank these guys enough. They're coming on board. They all understand. We're not going to be front runners. We're just out here having fun, and we're going to promote their companies doing it.
We have success. The engine and transmission are out. I did have to cut this bar right here. I actually started to cut that bar out, and I cut through the extension cord on my Sawzall, so yeah, that's perfect. But it's out, and you can't really tell in camera, but you get a real good look at this front end, and she's pretty bent up. Here's the engine over here. This is a temporary setup. I'll be honest, I'm gonna leave it like this for the time being because I've got banana splits waiting for me back in the house. Headers have to come off. That's gonna be a bit of an ordeal because the collectors are actually welded on. Transmission, that's gotta come out. That's gonna go to my buddy's. He's gonna go through it for us, replace that back bearing as well as seal, and make sure that that's 100% ready to go. The old Harbor Freight engine hoist. You might have seen my review of it. Pittsburgh. What a hunk of junk. The biggest issue with it is these wheels are more square than round, so it doesn't want to roll worth a darn, and all of them are swivel casters. So you pull in one direction and it's going to just kind of do whatever it wants and go wherever it wants to go. I actually had to take and use a pry bar to scoot the front of it over to get it to steer correctly. So my recommendation, avoid that at all costs. Hey, I got banana splits waiting for me. Good morning. Day, whatever, working on the late model. Gonna get the exhaust off the engine, get the transmission pulled off, get that drained, ready to go over to my buddy Scott. He's gonna take a look at it for me, make sure there's nothing wrong internally with it, and make sure we're good to go this year. And I got a lot to do and not much time to do it, so let's get kicking. Well, we got the header off. And anybody who's worked on any type of race car or performance vehicle understands header bolts are, well, they're kind of a nightmare. And this proved to be no exception. Did have these nifty little guys on it though. See, got a nice Allen head on there. That way you can strip that out, then round off the head. So, perfect. And, you know, I mean, really, who needs gaskets when you have RTV? And more of the same over here. And actually you can see right in here where it actually baked away the RTV and was leaking profusely. You know, the more and more I look at this, the more I'm happy I didn't make more laps. There, got the transmission separated. And I think I got a little bit of an input shaft seal leak. But we'll get this cleaned up and get that over to my buddy like I said. I want to get the engine off of the world's sketchiest engine hoist as quickly as possible. This is one of the mid-mount plates. Yeah, that's fine. We'll reuse that. And we actually get to put my Amazon engine hoist to use. If you liked the first unboxing video where I kind of critiqued my Pittsburgh engine hoist. I got a video putting this thing together, so make sure to watch that. That should be out not too long after I put up the late model video. It doesn't even like rolling when you don't have anything on it. There it is. We got it on the old, is that Black Horse or Dark Horse or some sort of horse racing engine stand. It's about a solid 6 on the old Sketchometer, but seems to get the job done. So that poses a question. What do we do with the old car? What do we do with crackers? You know, it's kind of like an old mangy dog. Really rough around the edges. Its fur's a little matted. Maybe a lot matted. Its ears are worn, but you can't help but love it. I mean, this was my first late model. Granted, it wrecked right away, but still, it's the first late model I had. So I think what I'm going to do is there and right there. We're going to reclip this thing. But that's going to be a project for when I have more time. We got race season right around the corner. So my friends at Union City Speed Shop have hooked me up. We have a new to me late model chassis that we're going to be picking up, and we will be featuring it in our next video. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we're going to have for this episode. Again, I'm trying to keep them around that 20 to 30 minute mark. Now, if you'd like to see a longer episodes, let me know. I'd be happy to put them out there. You know, let me know if you like what you see. As long as you folks like this, I'm going to keep doing it. I've been having a blast. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. I love hearing from you folks. Every time I put out one of these videos, I get a bunch of messages, be it on FaceTube or even on YouBook. You can check us out, Flipper's Garage on Facebook. We're on there. I don't know about that Instagram thing. We might have to put one of those out too, so let me know. But as long as you folks enjoyed what we're doing, we're going to keep doing it. And again, I love hearing from you. The next episode is going to be a brand new used chassis. So it's a newsed chassis. Thanks to the fine folks at Union City Speed Shop. John called hooking me up with that. Can't wait to show you guys. Really excited about this car. 2024 is going to be a fun year. And the best part is, I get to bring you all along for the ride. As always, my name's Flipper. Thank you for stopping out to my garage.